Whoever's out there, whoever's listening, there's a fog bank on the horizon. It will kill you. It's too late for me, but go save yourself. Lock your doors, bolt your windows, now. What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Repster, where movies and entertainment are our reputation. So, The Fog was released in 1980, was directed by John Carpenter, and stars Tom Atkins, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Adrienne Barbeau. And it follows a mysterious fog bank that trolls into a small coastal town, causing death and destruction in its wake. Let's get into the positives, as usual. The story, it was really good. I like the idea that this entity, this fog, just rolls in and starts creating chaos. I mean, it's one of those things that you don't really see. You don't really know what's in there, but you know something's in there. You just can't see it. And it's something that can't be stopped, like a hurricane or a tornado. It's pretty much a faceless coat of evil. And the side plot is basically these settlers came to this town before it was a town, 100 years prior. So this part actually takes place in 1880. Which only in context. But these settlers come in and they want to settle. And they get betrayed by the townspeople. Namely the preacher, the grandfather of some of the main characters in this. So they lure them into this fake fire or whatever that gets set on some of the ships. And they kill them and they steal their gold. And it always comes down to money. And they use that gold to build this little town. So, of course, that's where the revenge plot kicks in. As a result, you get these vengeful spirits. And I thought it was very nicely done. This was one of those movies I watched many years ago. I didn't quite care for it at first, but now that I'm watching a whole crap ton of these 80s horror flicks, I'm starting to appreciate a massive majority of them. The direction, it's John Carpenter. So, of course, it's going to be good. It's your basic classic John Carpenter flick. If you know anything about John Carpenter, is this. He puts in the fear and the mystery in his films of the unknown. Much like H.P. Lovecraft, the famous author back in the early to mid-1900s. When I mentioned in the From Beyond review, it's much like his, but he's got his own style, John Carpenter does. John Carpenter made a really terrific film. It was very well done. He got the idea, actually, from several novels he read, but he was at Stonehenge, along with his writing partner, Debra Hill, and it was a foggy day, and he could see, the mist right where the Stonehenge was, the stones was. And he turned to his partner and said, I wonder what's in that. So they got the brainstorming. And then they started reading up on history and facts about what sailors actually would do to lure others in to steal their gold and kill them and crap like that. So that's basically where this revenge plot / story came from. And they turned it into something really good. They turned it into a really good horror flick. It's a very interesting dynamic. It's clearly your basic, typical John Carpenter film. Always deals with the unknown. What you can't see will kill you. He puts such thoughts into his films, as he always does. After Halloween's success, which pretty much put him on the map, him and his crew, gave him the credibility that he needed, he didn't want to do another slasher film, another straight knife film. He wanted to do something different. He wanted to try a different approach, and he pulled it off. The style was very different, yet still maintained that horror element that we all fear at some point in our life, especially when it deals with the dark or anything unknown and what we can't see. And I think that all came down to the look and feel of this. Dean Cundey, who done a majority of cinematography work for John Carpenter's films, has done a really good job. It's not as claustrophobic. In the day scenes, it was lit up bright. It wasn't claustrophobic. It wasn't your typical horror feel. But during the night scenes, you knew that they meant business. It got right down to it. And then in the day scenes, it's all calm. It's all cool. It's all collected. But at the night scenes, that's when crap goes down. During the night scenes, that feeling of fear and angst just flushes back into you like a flood, like a wave. And it does really well in that transition. Like I said, it's not as claustrophobic, but it does pull a 180 on you in that sense. The slasher element. Now, this is something that I really appreciated. For those of you who watch my channel, who actually watch my channel, you know how much of a sucker I am for slasher and horror films, which is why I don't really favor the present horror films that's been coming out, because the slasher elements is pretty much dead now, unless they come out with another Halloween movie, which they are planning on, but that's besides the point. But still, the slasher element in The Fog was actually pretty decent. Had some really nice moments, though most of that came down to editing. They didn't feel at first that the original cut was scary enough. The studios felt like it was kind of lackluster. So in the last second, they had to reshoot some scenes, re-edit some stuff. They just had to do some last minute changes. Like the boat massacre scene at the beginning where those men got slaughtered. And the ending scene where that woman had to go up on top of that station tower to get away from those ghosts, and you could see like one of the ghosts, which I think they call Worm Face or something. They had to add that in there, and like several other scenes that they had to switch up. Plus, there was a scene at the beginning which was also ad-lib. They had to, it was one of those reshoot deals where everything just started going haywire. Car alarms started to go off, things started shaking. And it was actually like the first time in this film that the fog was showing up. Nobody could tell what was going on. And then the movie goes on from there. It's weird at first, but it's actually a nice little setup, nice little build-up to the strain goings on that this fog causes. And of course, later on in context, it explains further. So that was pretty nice. And then there's another scene that I have to mention where Adrienne Barbeau's character's son was playing by the beach, and he comes across this coin, this gold coin that's right on the edge where the water hits. And next thing you know, he's looking at it, and then it turns into this board that says Dana or Dane on it. So the son shows the mother later on, and then she takes it to her place of work. She props it up on top of some tapes, and then it starts leaking water. And then the words change to 6 must die. I thought that was pretty cool. And as the water leaked down, there's a tape player that was playing like the things that was on air. And it muttered something. I can't remember exactly the wording to it, but it was in a low-pitched tone. And something tells me that that was probably the ghost talking there just for a split second. And I thought that was really cool. It added intensity to it. And I think that made it better. It made it really interesting. And because of that, the tone and pace really benefited it.
Something that one lives with like an albatross around the neck. No, more like a millstone. A plumbing stone, by God. Damn them all.
Alright, let's get into the characters. Some I felt was good, some not so much. Since we're still in the positive range, let's get into some of the characters I actually felt was pretty decent. Like the preacher, played by Hal Holbrook, plays Father Malone. He's the guy that actually tells the backstory. The whole backstory between Blake, which is the name of the ghost, the main baddie of this, and what his grandfather has done and all the regrets from this diary that he was reading. And the way they set up that scene was pretty decent. I like the way that they put plot elements in it and they pick actors that know how to pull it off. And I thought this guy pulled that off pretty good.
But it does not soothe the horror that I feel being an accomplice to murder.
This man is the supposed grandson of the man who betrayed these people, these ghosts, 100 years prior to that basically sets up the whole story. And now, unfortunately, because of that, the present selves are paying for it. Adrienne Barbeau plays a mother, and she's also a radio talk show host, and basically becomes the savior of this film. Her performance was pretty good, especially by the third act. You could really feel the emotional depth in her voice and her performance and her character. I like the way she played it out.
Andy, get out of the house! Mrs. Covenant's getting out of the house!
So basically, she was on the radio this whole time, trying to talk to people and trying to tell them to stay away from the fog. It's going to kill you. There's something in there. Get to a safe place. Lock your doors and windows. Lock everything. So now that we got those portions of the characters out of the way, in a way, I felt like the true characters of this film was the surrounding. Like the mist itself. It was very alluring. It was lit up just right. It would glow. And that's what really made this film stand out for me. The fog is a supernatural element that lights up and that lets you know that it's coming, but you still can't see what's in it, which still maintains the mystery of it all. And that's what really gives this movie the push that it needs. Much like the Blob was a creature, yes, but it also devoured anything it got its hands on. And like the fog, it just rolls in, just like the Blob did. The fog and the Blob are the same in that sense. Yes, they have different methods. One is more of a creature type and will kill you by devouring your body. But the other, the fog, is this mist-type supernatural being that will still devour you, that will still kill you, yeah, in a different way, but still kills you. Because it rolls in, just like the Blob did, out of nowhere. It may have different methods, but it's the same in terms of danger. The realism of dying an unnatural death is very badass. And the ghosts themselves. And again, this points back to Carpenter's fixation on the mystery of everything, of things. You can see this dark figure in the background, even though it's lit up, like with the fog lighting up, you can see all this whiteness around him. The figure is still black. You can't see its face. All you can see is red eyes. And that's just Carpenter's way. That's just his way of showing, even though you can see it, he's still a mysterious figure in the background. And that's what I like. That's what I like about his films. And you know danger is coming. Much like Michael Myers, how he would lure in the back of bushes and waited for the perfect moment to strike.
Some asshole got drunk and started taking this 100-year-old business too seriously.
It's just the whole fearing what you can't see or can't understand. Classic Carpenter. And the score was really good. As always, you can always tell when you're watching a Carpenter film. Because just about every single one of his films, he always scores it. And it's got that synthesized sound to it. As soon as you watch a Carpenter film, you've been carpentized. Alright, that being said, let's slide into the negatives. As I said about the characters, there were some characters I liked, some I didn't. Unfortunately, that dishonor goes to Jamie Lee Curtis and Tom Atkins. I didn't feel like they gave him enough to do in this. Jamie Lee Curtis basically plays this hitchhiker who hitches a ride with Tom Atkins' character, who's, ironically enough, his name is Nick Castle. Ringing any bells? Halloween. And then they end up in bed together instantly, and then they go on from there. It just didn't really seem like that much of a good setup. It felt kind of rushed. Yeah, there was some good moments with some dialogue shortly thereof, and they did have some to do like during the third act, but even then so, they just didn't really do anything that much for me, which is a shame because I like both those actors. As much as I like those actors, I just didn't like them in this film. They just didn't bring that much to the table for me.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
Are you weird?
Yes, I am.
But that's really all I'll say. I still enjoyed the film for what it was. So if you're a fan of John Carpenter and would like to see a good old-fashioned supernatural horror film sprinkled with a dash of slasher element, then this sweet delight is for you. So, The Fog. Have you seen it yet? Yeah, must have. What did you think of it? Did you like the supernatural elements mixed in with the slasher elements? Is this your favorite John Carpenter film, or have you seen better? Leave me your comment down below and give me your thoughts. Before I end this video, I just want to apologize for taking so long in between videos. I know I've been waiting like 4 to 5 days in between, but I have work and this and that. It never ends. But more content will be on the way. Like, subscribe, and comment if you hadn't already. I really do appreciate your patience. And I'll see you on the next video. Peace the Rep House.